Today our lesson is on fractions. Much of what we talk about today should be a review for you, but again, you may have forgotten some of this. Alright, what is a fraction? A fraction is a part of a whole. If I cut a cake into 8 pieces and I give you one, then I have 1 out of 8. Okay? And that's what a fraction looks like. We're saying that the 1 is divided by 8. So we have 1/8 of the cake. This is a division line. It looks almost like the division sign. We have a number up here, a line, and a number down there. That's one way to remember it. So this is the same as saying 1 divided by 8. And if I was to try to change this to a decimal, I would set it up as 1 inside divided by 8. Okay, this is very important because often students will put them the wrong way around. Now the reason I say that it shouldn't be a difference is because if you put 8 divided by 1 and you get 8, you should realize there's something wrong because 1/8 is much less than 8 or even a whole 1. Anyway, we will work on changing these to decimals another time. Now, is it a half or is it cut in 2? Realize that just because you cut something into pieces doesn't mean it's a half. If I have whatever that is and cut it here, is that a half and that a half? It's one of 2 pieces. No, because they're very different in size. So just because you cut something in 2 doesn't mean it's a half. A half means that it is 1 piece of 2 and it's going to be identical. So a fraction must be the same size as another fraction of that same. So 1/5 of something would be the same size as another 5th of that same thing. Alright, there is such a thing called improper fractions, and it's not really a very great name for it, but an improper fraction merely means that we have a numerator, or the top, is bigger than the denominator, or the bottom of the fraction. Now what this means is that we can use it like that, we can leave it like that as long as it's simplified. Some teachers prefer you to change it into a mixed number, but that is not necessarily incorrect. How do you recognize an improper fraction? Once this numerator is larger, then this is going to be more than 1. Okay, once the numerator is larger, the value of that is going to be more than 1. And 5 goes into 12, 2, so that would be 2 and 2/5. And we'll get to that in a minute, how you change them. But those are equal. Alright? So an improper fraction has a larger denominator and is worth more than 1. A mixed number is then this part here, 2 and 2/5. So we have a whole number part, or an integer number part, because it could be negative, and a fractional part. So what we don't want to have is, and again, we'll talk about this a bit in classes, we do not want to have a mixture of both, so we do not want to have 2 and 5/3, because now we have an improper fraction and a mixed number mixed up together. So we're going to avoid that and get rid of that. Alright, let's have a look at how to change these fractions. These are mixed numbers and we want to be able to change them to improper fractions. We're going to keep the same denominator. So first of all, nothing changes there. Alright, but this is how we do it. The 2 is made up of really 12 12. So what we do is we multiply here. 2 times 12 is 24. And then we have to add the extra part, plus 5. So 2 times 12, 24, plus 5, 29 twelfths. Okay? So that's the equivalent. And we can do the same again here. We're going to have the same denominator. 2 times here, 4 times 2 is 8, plus 1, 9 over 2. And 10 times 5, 50, plus 3, 53 over 5. Again, you should have done this. This should be a review. Now, how do we change this? We can divide back into it. I know that, I could actually do the 17 divided by 8. I get 2 for 16. I have a remainder of 1, so I have 2 and 1/8. That's one way to do it. Or I can just know that that goes into 2 times, and 2 for 16, I'll have 1/8 left over. Depending on what kind of fraction that you have, you may want to do this, or you may just be able to go through. No, now 3 goes into 15 5 times. So really what I'm going to do there is that, but we wouldn't leave it like that. We'd leave it as the whole number 5. And then again, let's take out 45. Now we're not making it into a decimal, we're just making it into a mixed number. 7 goes into 45 6 times for 42. 3 remainders, so I have 6 and 3 7s. So that's how to change mixed numbers to improper fractions and improper fractions back into mixed numbers. Equivalent fractions. An equivalent fraction is a fraction that has the same value. So if I cut my cake into fourths, all right, 2 of those fourths is the same as 1/2. All right, and so we have 2 main uses for equivalent fractions. One of them is to simplify, because I don't usually leave 2 fourths as 2 fourths. I change it to 1/2. And so to simplify, 20. Okay. What I do is I look for a number that will go into or be divided into both the numerator and denominator, the top and bottom. And this is where knowing your multiplication facts can help. But I know that 5 will go into both of those. So if I divide both of those, I get 3 fourths. And I look again and see that nothing will go into 3 and 4. And so that is finished. So simplifying is one of the reasons we want equivalent fractions. And the other one is to find a common denominator when we're adding or subtracting. And so to find a common denominator, we're almost doing the opposite of simplifying. Maybe I have 1/2 plus 1/5. And so I look for a number that I can find a common number that both of these will go into. Well, it's 10. So I'd have to multiply that by 2 to get to 10. When I do that, I must multiply that. Otherwise, I change the whole number. And here I multiply by 5, top and bottom. And so now I have 5 tenths plus 2 tenths. And now I can add them. And I found my common denominator. So an equivalent fraction is a fraction that looks different but has the same value. These have the same value.